who you surround yourself with is a big deal. And I certainly believe it in your spiritual circles, in your close-knit circles. And I would say all three of you, have every right to hold me accountable on whatever level. Ladies and gentlemen, dogs and fleas, 100. Pull up a chair and sit on your knees, 100. For we have a story to tell you that after 100 episodes, we're still learning about. Welcome to Talk the Walk. My name is Henry Moses.
I'm Jared Moreland.
Miles Barfield.
Whoa.
And I'm Gabriel Moses. Thank you, 100, for joining us wherever you may be. We're super happy to be
We're keeping it 100 today.
Keeping it 100?
We're keeping it 100 episodes.
I'm already annoyed.
You said
We even got
You too, Miles.
we even got the 100-year-old Miles Barfield.
half of 100.
Oh, okay. Half 100, but looks 100.
Yeah.
That's
you remind
marathon
me.
riders and bicycle riders always
Man.
look like they're
Hey, getting your
6
doctorate,
steps from death.
getting your doctorate will take it out of you.
Yeah, it will.
It'll take it out of you.
And I never want to do it again.
You're reminding me I'm
I
just a
commend you
pup
for
here.
that.
I'm feeling like a pup.
Yeah, you're the baby in the room.
Baby of the bunch right here.
30.
All this wisdom around me. Y'all got more grade than I ever had.
We're just old.
No, I don't.
I'm looking at you.
Yep, but I ain't got you. You have more gray than I do because
You got more gray in your goatee than I have on my whole
Oh
head.
no, you haven't looked at your head in a while, sir.
Can
It's
I
a
get
good
it?
thing we
You
all
look
have.
like what's that stretch? The guy with the stretchy arms, the superhero. He's the leader of the Fantastic Four. And has all that gray on the side of his head, and that's gay.
Oh, this Silver Surfer?
We all have a face for radio.
I'm like, what?
This ain't California.
I don't know, man.
What are you talking about?
You're over there saying that as your face is completely gray.
Scared.
It's almost white.
I know.
That's great because I have to sit across from Gabe. Makes my whole face goes gray.
Isn't gray
That's
a
what
sign
happens
of-
after 47 years.
Isn't
That's
gray?
it.
Gray's a sign of wisdom, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's fair. Yeah, well, let's go that way. In that case, I'm going to let what hair I have left grow out.
That's right.
Allegedly a
I'm
sign
not
of
coming
wisdom.
over. So if you grow, okay, let's get on to the episode 100 thing. How about that?
Which episode is this? What number?
Episode number 100.
Oh, that's right.
In the words of Paula Abdul, they said it wouldn't last. We had to prove them wrong.
Man, that's the best you've got.
That's what I got, man.
But is he going to sing it?
They said it wouldn't last. We had to prove them wrong.
Okay, I got to say something there.
All right.
So there was one episode a long time ago that you said something about we never sing on this show because that's just stupid. I hate podcasts that do that. In that episode, you sang 3 times.
I feel like you're making this up.
No,
He's saying episode 1.
I
because
said
you
we
did.
never would sing.
Yes, you said it's dumb when people just break out. No, that's what it was. You said it's dumb when people break out in song.
I haven't.
Because you brought up musicals.
I haven't changed my stance. on it.
And he said that that never happens in real life. It's stupid. Nobody ever just breaks out in song, and then 10 minutes later you're breaking out in song.
But I don't do that in real life. That would be weird.
This is real life.
But it's funny. It's funny on the podcast. It's kind of
What is
fantasy.
this that
It
we're
feels
doing?
like we go into a
Not real
different
life.
zone.
Okay, you're right. I am just ranting on you.
It's
What
like
was that? I think I know the movie that he's talking about. Was it the one, the Wolverine
Yeah, it was.
that he was in?
Oh, the Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Well,
But you hadn't...
or was it Chicago? I think it was Chicago. The one that. No, I think it was just musicals in general that we were talking about.
There was a certain musical that brought it up.
Okay,
I think
okay.
Gabe's right.
Yeah,
thought
but
it
it
was
would
the
be
Greatest
funny. I would love it if somebody would do that, but nobody does it
I wouldn't love that.
unless they're on this podcast.
The only
Jared hasn't done it yet.
done what?
Broke out into song on here. Yeah,
I
you
have.
have.
Actually,
Yeah, you have.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah, that's
only
true.
certified musician we have is Miles.
That doesn't sing.
And he's You should have brought your bass.
Yeah.
Bass.
Because I'm all about that bass,
See?
No
Look,
treble.
Because I'm all about that bass. About that bass.
it's so easy
No
to do.
treble.
It's so easy to do. Break it down.
Plus, I mean, we don't have to stare the people that are listening to this in the face.
That's right. True.
You know,
We're looking at each other.
Like they're on the verge of turning this off at this point if we do not go a different direction.
But they're, I mean, we're talking about 100 episodes. They're faithful at this point. They're like, man, we've stuck with these dudes this long.
That's how they roll.
Yeah.
That's how they
You know,
roll.
it's funny. So talking about podcast loyalty, which hopefully we've gained maybe a little bit since episode 1.
I feel the love sometimes.
So you know who I hate right now? The Dallas Cowboys. I stinking hate.
Don't do that.
Hate
I will walk out.
the Dallas Cowboys. But no, I'm not going to go. I probably hate them worse than Miles does.
It's about
I don't hate the Cowboys. I just
Well, you
don't,
hate
can't
the
stand
NFL.
football.
Yeah, you can't stand it. But yeah, we won't go down that road. But what I am saying, everybody that knows me knows how big I can't stand the Cowboys. They're a bunch of losers. It's a loser organization. Like, I'll always be a fan of them, but I'm just going to say I can't dang stand them. So with that said, I don't even know if I'm going to watch any of their dumb games next year. But what I will
This
say,
will be the 15th year in a row.
what
you've
I
said
will
that.
say, no, not true. Not true. I've always said I'm going to complain this and that, but I'll watch them. No, I'm not wasting my time. And this year I only watched them in the big games. But what I still will do is I will listen to the podcast. Not because I'm so needing to hear what the Cowboys are doing, because it's going to be something stupid anyway. But I just like the dudes that do the podcast. You know, I enjoy it. Even sometimes if they're not talking about anything I'm interested in, I'm like, well, I wonder what old Derek Eagleton's up to, or Nick Eatman, what his thoughts are. So I like hearing those guys. And so the whole point being, hopefully, after 100 episodes,
We're like that.
they've learned.
We're like that.
Those that are still with us, and the newbies that have come on, have kind of learned. Okay, yeah, Gabe annoys the crap out of me on this, but he's a heck of a dude. Oh, I just said the C word. Miles
Now I got to edit that out.
I'm
I'm gonna start beeping those so nobody knows what you're saying.
That'd be
And they'll just
hilarious.
start. People will be. Oh, well,
assuming.
Old school.
what did he say there?
Old school. But
You're
they
gonna
move on.
spice it up. Spice it up.
Yeah.
Do a bleep or two.
Or do a sound
Oh, jeez.
annoy the out of me.
We're Looney Tunes. Wow, wow.
I do that. I do that on my own. Wow, 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 wow.
And you're good at it.
Yeah, because I do it a lot.
That's because there's a lot of wah, wah,
That's what's
wah, wah
in my
up
head.
in here.
Yeah, that's true. So, Miles, this is your second time in 100 episodes, so once every 50.
I like that. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Once every 50.
That's doable. Well, and it was probably pretty close to the middle when you came. No, it was early on. Was it? Because we recorded in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's one of the things. Like we went and 3/4 of us here listened to the first episode, and we won't throw the fourth one under the bus. But his initials are Gabriel Michael Moses. But nobody's surprised.
It's all in my heart. It's all in my heart.
And Jared, you had a good point. Speaking of that, you said in the first episode that Gabe said he was going to.
It was the second
the
episode.
second episode.
That Gabe was. It was episode 2. He was pretty pumped up, and just
And
felt
still
like
am.
felt like he said where I felt like I'm lacking is just I need to be better prepared. And he said that's going to be what I'm doing. I'm just going to spend more time being prepared, being ready to go, and So my question would be like, Gabe, how is your preparation better now? It feels like that was what you were going to work on. So how are you?
I've stepped fully into this, and my preparation comes from a day by day growing and more experience to speak from.
Yeah. That's baloney.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
I've got
That's it. You get up in here and you go, there's a goal here that definitely is spread the gospel, right?
all right.
We're here to spread the gospel.
That's right.
But man, when it comes down to these topics that we do, they're very broad. They're focused, but when we get into them, we start talking it goes a lot of different directions.
Yeah. I feel like
a lot of different directions.
when I came on board to be a part of this, I remember Miles, and he still challenges us with this, is it comes across when we're over prepared. Would you agree with that, Miles? So we've
Which
tried
that was my.
to get you off the hook.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've tried to transition of not being overly prepared so that it feels like we're just having a conversation in a coffee shop. So
Yep.
I was just going to tease you about that, but
And you did good. I got hot when you said that. I was like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh.
It was that intense look he gave you when he said it.
Yeah, he did. He can be serious. He can be convicting. He's a good friend that way.
oh
For
man,
real. He's for real.
Something I loved. There's no transition. We're just rolling out.
It's just going to be basically
Okay.
a long chill talk talking about where we started, kind of the journey to 100 episodes and kind of what we're hoping to have happen in the future.
Well, what I loved that y'all talked about on the first episode was how Hank's the law guy and Gabe's the grace guy.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I'm the mediator. I can appreciate
Yeah.
both sides,
Yeah.
but I love how we've shared that as a team we're different,
yeah.
but we know how to have differing opinions, yet we're still buds.
Yeah.
Even before we started hitting record,
Yeah.
it was getting heated in here, and we're just laughing, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't deter us.
Yeah,
but
which
that was,
could be a fun episode because we were debating Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings and what's okay to watch and what's not. So who knows? Y'all hang tight. I mean, it was John Piper and who was the other one?
Tim
Keller.
Tim Keller, and whether we liked listening to him or not. So yeah, that could be a fun episode. And that could be having Miles on here.
So Miles is the producer and making it all serious. I have a question for you because the first episode seemed really serious to me. When I listened to it, I was like, it was real serious. I feel like we've gotten better at not being so serious. What's some of your feedback that you've seen progression of the show from episode 1 to episode 100? What do you like? What do you not like?
You should have seen some of the conversations, especially we've had, me and Henry, Moses, Mo. I don't know what to call you here.
Whatever works. For those that don't know, Miles and I worked together at a job together a long time ago. That way you don't have to edit that out. And so we all kind of referred to each other by last name. Moses would be obviously my last name, Barfield for him, but he shortened that to Mo. Moses was too long.
It cost
So
too
got
much to
shortened to
say.
Mo. So if Miles
Too
says
much of a
Mo,
mouthful.
It was.
he's talking about me.
That way I could just say,
He's talking
Mo,
about Henry.
Mo.
Yeah.
Mo, wake up.
Very fair. Yeah. Which is quite frequent, especially during a drill. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, what was the question? I forgot now.
The question was, do you feel episode 1 seemed really serious to me when I went back and listened to it. I feel like
you know
we've
why?
gotten away from that. Hold on, this is for Miles. Hang on just a second.
It's because we were trying to focus on breathing.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was. And
Not
nervous.
passing out. Yeah.
me and Miles did have to speed up the playback on episode 1 because it was like, welcome to Talk the Walk. We are so glad you are here today.
While you're
Oh yeah.
holding your
no
paper.
fun intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny
I think
about
I
that,
did have a
I told Mo over and over and over. I said, let's just, because the first podcast we did with you two was structured, serious, and it was
Brutal.
regimented, I would say. And I mean, I would go through and edit out sports talk. I would edit out just a lot of stuff that was filler. So when we brought it back up and started this version of it, I kept saying over and over, let's just make it coffee shop. I mean, just think friends hanging out. And my purpose is I don't want to be like a structured sermon. I don't want to be even a Sunday school lesson.
Yeah.
Because there's thousands of podcasts out there that do that. If you can listen to you can listen to Wretched, you can listen to Living Waters now. There's hundreds of podcasts out there that do the same thing. And I said, we have to be different. We're nobodies. Nobody knows us.
Amen to that.
We have to do something that sets us apart.
Yeah.
I like this. With me living where I live, there's not a lot of opportunity to just hang out and talk like this. So I thought it'd be neat to have a format where people that can't can have people they can hang out with once a week. And so that was my idea.
With that,
You live in Africa?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
with that, there was some talk Henry and I had, like Talk the Walk is, I love that name. I'm like, didn't you came up with that, Henry, or
A long time ago.
Talk the Walk?
Yeah.
That's a
Jared
good.
and I
It's well done.
Miles, yeah.
But a little second that I Henry and I've joked about is that another name that we could have gone with was No Theologians Here. I'm like, I'm not a theologian. Neither are you. We love God. We've loved him all our life, but I'm not a theologian, and I couldn't do that if I tried. on that kind of a format.
Yeah.
There's no, but I can sure talk as a
Well,
regular,
plus we
Christian.
don't have an organ, a pipe organ.
That's right.
So
We do have stained glass, though.
we do have stained glass. That's true. So we could be. We're on our way to theologians just by getting the stained glass.
Well, we have a
Which,
theologian.
by the way,
with us.
our theologian put in here. So
Yeah, we do have a
Makes sense.
theologian.
Yeah.
Our resident theologian. That's right.
yeah,
It's a good thing I'm not here every week, huh?
it would be one theologian here.
That's
And
I will say
what is
from
it? Three men and a baby. So one theologian and three babies.
Goodness.
That'd be
Wah, wah, wah.
So going back to your question,
maybe.
yeah, you still haven't got to answer the question.
I've been waiting to do that.
something that I'm so glad.
Jared's trying to be serious and structured here.
No, we had a plan.
He's good.
Like he forgot
He's good.
what show he's on.
He's the point man.
We'll just mute their mics and we'll just go on talking.
Yeah.
Vicious.
We'll cut the original two out.
The pastor and the theologian are trying to get everybody else in line.
Easy
Okay, go,
come.
Jared. Go, 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 go.
Easy come, easy go.
So something Mo always did. It's still great. You actually did it last week, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember. But we gotta hurry. We're running out of time.
Yes.
This in the first episode was the worst because this segment, we're almost done with this segment. We gotta stop.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did
He
you cut
edited
that
it
out?
He cut it out.
We gotta move
Okay.
to the next segment.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it makes me so nervous every time he's like, I'm like, I want to finish my sentence real quick.
Yeah, because I just kind of lean forward. So for those that don't know, probably nobody on here actually knows what we're even talking about, but we do segments. We do 2 different segments.
30 minutes, basically.
But we just it's easier to,
Yeah, but you used to do. I mean, it was like, especially when you were doing the memory verse, it got to the point where it was almost 5-minute segments for an hour. And I mean, you only did 2 parts as
Right.
far as recording, but at the end of every 5 minutes, okay, we got to wrap this up.
Oh, you could
Yes.
identify
Oh,
the
so
segments.
structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just he would verbally say, we gotta wrap this up. We're almost done. Hurry, just stop.
Henry's over there going, I'm going to give you a
yeah.
knuckle
Yeah, I'm going to wrap you up.
I'm going to wrap you up.
I will say, episode 1, when I listened to Gabe said he verbalized he was really nervous, and it was his very first.
Probably.
But it didn't seem like Gabe's first podcast. It was super. It flowed so well. Like I made a point to put that in my notes. Like it did not seem like.
Well,
his
there's a
first
reason for that.
podcast.
No
Because
theologian here.
Gabe's nickname is Mr. Talker. So there was a movie back in the 50s or 60s, somewhere around there, maybe even 40s, but it was called Topper Returns. And so great movie. We grew up watching it. And so Gabe, his office is right next to mine at work. And that office is never silent. It's always gums bumping and
I
words
love
flying, and
people.
He loves to talk. So that's why.
I think
That's
I came
why
by to
now.
see you guys one time when I was talking to you, and I said, "Where's Gabe?" And we go over there, and he's out on this little balcony, and he's just walking back and forth talking on the phone.
Oh yeah, that's his favorite thing to do: smoke a cigar and talk to somebody on the phone out on the balcony.
Well, clarity on the structure you and Ellen me earlier. When we originally talked about this episode, Miles asked that I conduct a semi-informal interview of you two because
a
I
long
wasn't
time
at
ago.
episode 1. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I was just messing with. Okay, go. Okay, go. That's a good point. You
Yeah.
even have your fancy iPad.
I do. Well, something y'all talked about in the very first episode was the Great Commission, walking out your salvation, the process of sanctification,
Yes.
dealing with becoming comfortable and complacent. My question is, I feel like this podcast helps battle that because does our comfort and complacency run parallel to stopping sharing the gospel? What I'm saying is this podcast, knowing I'm going to be here every Friday, has leveled up the accountability in my life. And sometimes this podcast helps hold me accountable. So that's what I'm asking. Does the commitment to have to do this,
Knowing that you're going to be on it and knowing that you
does it
kinda
change
have
the
to
way
be in
Monday
the
through
right-
Thursday?
Oh, yeah. Just talking about it, I think, and we've mentioned that a few times on here, but just having the conversation on here, like there's a lot of times I'll go back and listen because I'm curious how much more I'll get out of it than just because I got so much out of it just sitting here having the conversation.
Yeah.
Like that is the whole idea. And that is when there's the best flow on here, when we're just having a conversation. we're not. My problem at the very beginning was way overstructured.
It was.
And Gabe would drive me nuts. And then I'm sure people probably heard that a little bit on here. Like, I'm wanting it to go this way and Gabe's wanting to go that way. So there's a little bit of frustration that you have to work through.
And we might as well let everyone know we've had moments that we got so frustrated with each other.
Hit pause.
We had to stop the recording.
Work through it. And
do you have something you want to tell me?
Yeah.
Well, you even shared, Gabe, that you mentioned coming home or getting up and talking to your wife. And I was going to ask you this. Were you saying in that episode, because I know you didn't go back and listen to it, but you were talking about sharing the Great Commission. I know that was a gig.
Thanks, Jared.
So I put that you don't need a podcast to share the gospel, because that's what you were saying. That was your challenge of doing a podcast. Like, hey, I'm going to disciple people one man at a time.
Yes.
But then you mentioned that you would come home and then you had 6 kids now, and then you're talking to your wife. Can we let good or great things come between us and Jesus and the Great Commission? Were you saying that even the time you were spending with your wife, was that hindering your ability to share the gospel?
Sorry, but rephrase that.
So
spending time with my wife.
Can we let good or great things come between us and Jesus and the Great Commission? Can our wives become our idol?
Oh yeah, no, and I was when Carrie. I mean,
he's trying to get him in trouble.
No, I'm not. I was just
when we got married.
It can become an excuse, like sometimes.
It can distract a bit of a distraction. You know how often Satan's going to take what's a blessing and try to use it as a curse, and not doing the Great Commission. I'm like, yes. When Carrie and I got together and we started dating and talking, I found her totally fascinating.
Right.
And to this day, I do. I still just stare at her and just look at her like she's in a museum or something, And so I did delve in, and it is, I mean, and that can be anything, but definitely in my life, her, the kids, and all the different dynamics that came with each little individual personality of a child, plus Carrie, and our life changed. Both our lives changed so much. It was when Henry came up and said, he hit me up. He's like, do you want to do a podcast? And he knew I was going to say no, because I got the
about
time.
99% sure. Yeah.
He was 99% sure I was going to say no, but I was so thrilled to be able to say, you know what? My wife she is okay with me doing something. I know she would say yes.
Oh, but you were going to blame it on her that you couldn't do it.
Always.
Yeah.
I will counter that.
It's always the wife. Hey, I got to talk to my wife. Oh, she's not on board.
So Mo said you were convinced that, or you say you were convinced that he would say no.
Yeah,
but
pretty
he
sure.
told me,
Yeah.
He said he might say no, but I can talk him into it.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
That's true.
And you probably
I
could.
probably did say that. Yeah.
I have more respect.
And I did have to work on him, because it was you were yes, and then I said 2 weeks, once a month, or once every 2 weeks.
He kind of massaged you for a little bit.
did.
It was like
Then I kind of
It's been
manipulated it
He played
into
me.
weekly.
He played me.
And then Gabe's like, "What happened?" Then I started putting a guilt trip on him because he was getting frustrated about times, and I was like,
tough.
"I was like, what?" And Gabe said, "What this? I thought it was going to be every 2 weeks. Like, what? How did this end up a weekly thing?"
we're building a buffer.
He Miyagi'd me. He Mr.
Well,
Miyagi.
because what happened is I did tell Gabe on that, but then Barfield was basically like, "No, that's stupid. We're not. If we do every 2 weeks,
Yeah, you can't. You're never going to
no
grow
consistency,
because
no
the algorithm.
consistency."
The logic of it was undeniable. So I was like, gosh, they're right. This should be at least once a week.
Yeah.
But how?
It kills me now that it's only once a week.
I know.
hope that down the
We do
road,
this all day.
My favorite Gabe moment is when we were debating time, because we thought an hour, 30 minutes. And Gabe
I don't
goes,
want to. No, don't you dare.
"Okay,
I already know where.
Let's
he's
do
going with
43.2 minutes."
I forgot about that.
And I was going, "Where do you get 43? That's just a random number."
You know, when you texted that back, it all came to reality for me how odd that was that I said that.
That was when we were still kind of growing in our flow. So I was so annoyed with the
43
point
Wait a minute. I never
What?
said
I
43
think-
point.
or 43.
You said 43. I think 43 is a good
I was
number.
like, come on, man. What are we doing here?
That's such a Gabe comment.
Oh, yeah.
So that question I asked you,
Hand to face.
Gabe, the reason I asked that, I can't say that's the reason I asked it, but when I was on the way here today, I was listening to your testimony, and something that just really stood out to me was you said that you were living with your dad and he was poverty level poor. Y'all were poverty level poor. And all he did was sit and read his Bible.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't allow life circumstances to deter him away from being in the Word of God.
And
that's kind of the tie-in from the question is like, man, we find so many excuses, but your dad, who had
was that way
every
all our
reason
life.
to be stressed about something, he's like, it's not going to deter me from the Word.
he did that when we were kids too.
All the time.
So that was in my late teenage years. He also did that when we were kids. All I can remember so many times is him sitting at his desk reading the Word. He did not get to golly. They just read and read and read.
That's powerful.
It is powerful, and this podcast does do that for me. Mm-hmm. It does help me to stay focused. Sitting across from Henry, you guys, and other people who have guested on the show. Golly, coming here, my heart gets realigned every single time that we do this, and I hear stuff from everybody else who speaks that I go, I needed that badly today. Sometimes we just roll through and I go, man, I just had a blast. But other times it does. It realigns my walk with God and does keep me focused on and convicted.
So same question for you, Hank, because you shared in the first episode and talking about what the podcast does. You're the only one among us you're not full-time single anymore, but you still live as a
Kind of live a single life.
You still live a single life.
Yeah.
And you said, playing video games, getting distracted and getting isolated alone. Does the podcast and the prep for that help with that as well?
Me. I would say it's grown me. Unquestionably. I mean, over that 2 years, sitting here having these conversations, plus I do like to prepare for the podcast, at least spend some time thinking about whatever we're going to be talking about. So I make sure to spend some time in the Word and meditating on the topic and that. I'm really not even as much as I'd like to, but I do at least try to spend some time doing it. It challenges you. It challenges you. It makes you more cognizant of the way you're spending your time.
I know that word. I don't have to Google that word.
Yeah.
Proliferate.
It certainly prepares me better to proselytize. Yes.
Something I do want to share, I'll throw myself in the fire. When you were talking about the video games getting isolated, a couple weeks ago, I went to Dallas, met some friends, and man, you never know when the enemy is going to strike. So we were with Stacy and Justin. It was me and Angel, and we'd spent all day together, spent the weekend and all of that. And they decided, Angel was tired. She didn't feel great. And then Justin and Stacy, they were just kind of tired. And they're like, we're going to go to bed. But me and Justin were going to, I don't know if I can share this on the podcast, but I'm going to, and
Justin
Miles
is
edits
your
it out.
lifelong friend.
Yeah, we've been good friends. Angel and Stacy are best friends in the world,
Okay.
and Justin married Stacy. But me and Justin were going to have a drink and smoke a cigar down in the patio area. And I've got my mind made up. We're going to have a drink and a cigar. And he's like, man, I'm just tired. I'm going to bed. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to have my drink and I'm going to have my cigar. So I go downstairs. I'm in on the courtyard and I'm isolated. I'm by myself, but I purposely isolated myself to be away from everybody. And went inside to the hotel bar and ordered my drink. And this lady asked me, well, what's that? And I explained it to her and went back and sat down. And I'm sitting there smoking a cigar, and I just texted a buddy, like, check this place out. And this girl comes and sits at my table. Like, it's just me and her. And Angel can see our the courtyard from our room, and so the accountability level. But I'm just like, the harlot has shown up, man. I'm like,
Wow, crazy.
and she's like, so what are you doing here? I said, I'm just having a cigar and having a drink. Well, why are you in Dallas? I said, well, we're here celebrating my wife's birthday. Well, where's your wife? I said, well, she doesn't feel good. She's in bed. And our friends are here. Where are your friends? I said, they're man. Oh, so it's just you. And I mean, she's just pursuing, bro.
Wow.
I ruined a cigar and a drink. I had to get out of there. I was just ran, bro. But when you talked about but you being a single person, getting isolated and alone, that brought me to that story. Like, man, I felt so strong in the Lord. And then the devil just showed up at my doorstep. And I'm like, wow, it was crazy.
Because he's coming for you. I mean, that's what Proverbs talks about, all that kind of stuff all the time. Yeah, it's certainly who you surround yourself with is a big deal. I believe that in business. And I certainly believe it in your spiritual circles and your close-knit circles. And I would say all three of you, have every right to hold me accountable on whatever level.
Well, you even reach out to me as a single man. Hey, Jared, can you pray for me right now? I'm struggling with this. And I appreciate that. That's awesome. And it's an honor to be able to partner with you in that.
Well, I don't trust myself. I mean, it's really as simple as that. I'm a flawed human being, and who the Lord would choose to use through no talent, skills, any of that of my own, not because I'm so great, but only because I submit myself to him and only to the level that I submit myself to him. And so it's so important to, a lot of the great people that I love and love to listen to, I hear these stories of how they are held accountable by their brothers around them, or for women, how you're held accountable by your sisters around you and who you surround yourself with. I see a lot of crazy Christian circles right now that are like, oh, let's get together and get drunk, or let's do this and that. And that just kind of, they're still surrounding themselves with people in the quote unquote Christian circle. But it's not, you don't see a lot of accountability, but I even have to discipline myself on the food end of things. I mean, I like food. So all these things, which are really bad for me. But that I would hope like crazy. And I hope that I'm humbling myself to the point, that you guys and really our relationships have grown through doing this podcast. I think, that I would humble myself to at least be willing to listen to what you guys say to me. It's so important as a single man. It's important as a man or a woman, period, but definitely as a person that's single. And for me, I've lived most of my life kind of on the, like you said, I've got a pretty cool bachelor pad, You do. It's a homie bachelor pad, but
the other one was cooler.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, that's
it didn't have a billiard table in it.
That's true.
But so it's, man, I'm appreciative of.
You just like that other one because it was a block from your house.
No, it wasn't
he's
a
talking
block.
about the one before that.
Oh,
no,
the one before that.
On by Beverly.
Yeah.
No, because it was truly a bachelor pad. This is like cleaned up,
it's a home.
Cool place to come. This is a home.
Yeah, you're right.
When you say bachelor
this
pad.
one has a podcast studio.
Yes. No.
That other one was legit.
Yes. You could you always knew there was leftover pizza to eat on the table from the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as there wasn't mold on it, it's good
to go.
Yes.
Slap it in the microwave.
That's
or
right.
Not.
I only have one other question, and then I'm done asking questions because this intrigued me on episode 2. You shared a very heart-touching story about a guy named Angel that you met that was going through depression. You gave him your card. Did you ever hear from him again? Did he ever reach out to you?
Yeah. Nope. He didn't reach out to me. Nope,
okay.
He didn't reach out to me, but I went by there and checked on him a few times, and then he was working the line at HTO, and I do think about him, and I do pray for him still from time to time.
Well, it prompted me to pray for him this morning when I heard that story.
Yeah, that was crazy, and it's funny. So just to refreshing people's memories, because that was right at the beginning that we talked about that, and we were at the time. Gabe and Carrie had that Bible study group, and that's since been disbanded. But one of the best Bible studies I was a part of is awesome. But we were talking about being deliberate in our witness, and so kind of being deliberate and having encounters, and so the way we decided we were going to do that is we were going to just random people that we came into contact with. What's the Lord doing in your life right now? Yeah. And this guy Angel said, I did that. He was doing the HTO line I was going through to get a T. He worked there. And he said, well, I'm alive today. He just kind of paused. He said, I'm alive today. He said, I was suicidal last night. And, but the Lord kept me alive through it.
Mm.
And so, man, I tried to look this dude up on Facebook. Obviously, HTO wasn't going to tell me his name because he wasn't there for long, you know. And so I don't know where he went, or I hope he's still doing well. But it really does. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, man, we get so busy going through life.
Well, look at that podcast. Like that, because of the turn of events of the 100th episode, you went back, listened to an old podcast, and are praying for someone over a year ago.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing when you step out and serve the Lord and go do what he told you to do. What will happen? That young man doesn't know he's being prayed for by a complete stranger this morning.
Yeah.
Over his heart, his soul, and his walk with the Lord, and this walk through life that's tough sometimes. I love that. That is exactly why I wanted to do this.
Agreed.
Huh?
Agreed.
The greed?
I agree with you.
Oh, agreed. I was like, greed? Huh?
You're
How's
greedy.
that work?
I don't feel like it's very greedy.
Oh, the greed.
I'm glad I
The
came
greed of that
prepared.
statement.
I love this thing for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Who knows how this all works? And I was reading, Carrie and I are doing, for Lent, we're doing this prayer study, and Miles like, don't timestamp. But anyway, we know each other too well at this point.
No, it's funny. I've almost gone to reach for the mic to adjust it 2 or 3 times.
You're like, don't touch it.
Miles
Miles
got
is
on
right here.
right before, and he's sitting here.
He's watching everything.
About how annoying it is that I do that.
Yeah.
He's like, and I know it's Mo.
So
Every time I start to reach for it, I'm like, and it hurts my hands a little bit, and I pull them back. I'm like, okay.
So we're doing this study, and in one of these one of these prayers, it talks about basically it described it almost like we're the Matrix.
Yeah.
And it's going to sound funny, but once I finish, you'll go, that does.
Gabe, you're not the one. Calm down.
You calm down.
Did you even watch The Matrix?
Oh boy. So continuing, probably witchcraft in there.
Not probably.
So we're not going to rabbit trail. That is so tempting. So in this thing, it talks about God describes that God set up the 4 dimensions for us to reside in, 3 dimension, 4 dimension, all that stuff,
Okay.
but how he resides outside of it. Right.
Yeah.
And that was enlightening to me. I mean, extremely eye-opening for me, because I'm like, golly, he set up a construct for us to live in, and a way for which we can live as humans, which first and foremost was miraculous. I thought, golly, that is amazing. But secondly, he operates outside of that construct of time and space. It was real deep. And for a simpleton like me, I was going, that's the coolest thing ever. That is so cool. It was just cool.
So to take that and his prayer for Angel.
Yes.
So I was thinking about that on the way here, not to go down a deep theological trail,
Oh,
Yeah,
please
that's what
do.
you do, brother.
Please
Get
do.
it.
but God doesn't exist in our time. So you praying for Angel, you're praying for Angel when you were talking to him at that moment. So it's not that you're praying for Angel here today. Your prayer is strengthening him in the moment that Moses was praying for him. I think
It is. I do think about that.
That's a
Is
cool
it
thought.
too late to pray over something that's already happened?
That's why, you can pray for people in the past.
We don't. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because God doesn't exist
not.
in our time. So
That
you're praying
is deep.
You're praying to the God that is watching Jesus die on the cross, that's watching Moses split the sea, and it's happening together for him.
In his, yeah.
That's
That is crazy and deep, Miles.
there you go.
That is your
That's why he's got the PhD or
that deep
doctorate.
was brought to you by Dr.
Okay, I have so
Barfield.
many directions I could go on that, but I'm gonna not because that's not what we're doing today.
Oh, I love it.
But man,
it.
I'm
You
like,
can save that one for another show for you guys.
yeah,
You would have to be on the episode.
Would you say that you've grown as an individual because of the podcast, Hank?
yeah.
And expand on that a little bit.
You know what you should, Jared?
Yes.
It'd be better to ask me about him and him about me.
Okay,
Or,
tell me how you. Okay,
now it's,
You know,
okay.
that
I like
that
that.
would
I
put
like that.
pressure on it. You know,
How have you seen Gabe grow as a man, individual in his walk through the podcast?
Man, okay, so that's tough though because I don't know if it's
I can answer first.
for the podcast
him.
or if it's because of overall, but I mean, yeah, I have seen Gabe. So Gabe, it's crazy because growing up, I just thought Gabe was about money. That's it.
Jeez,
Oh, that's all you cared about when we were young. We were poor.
flinch, don't
he could
flinch.
find money in craziest of
almost
places.
spit my
like,
coffee out.
He just thought about money, and he wanted to have money.
Look, I just wanted a 20-piece chicken McNugget. What's wrong with
and
that?
you found ways to get it.
Kidney shot.
I mean, but that's the way. Look, when you're poor, and we were insanely poor, then I can see how it happens.
There's a desire there
And
to
so,
not be
Gabe,
so destitute.
wanted money, lots and lots of money,
Lots and lots of
And
money.
and then he went to business school, and then he's doing all this stuff, and he's got the William J. McCorkle School of Real Estate. And, he bought all that. Like he's always, kind of trying to figure out some way that he's going to make this happen. And so for the longest time, I didn't look at Gabe as I knew he loved the Lord. I knew that. I mean, he when he was going through his modeling days and had his long hair and
Even
posed as Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, y'all probably have one of his pictures
I do.
from that. Yeah,
I
in
do.
your house.
Yeah.
Jared, why'd you ask this?
I got a story to tell you about that later.
Oh, I'm excited. That needs to be on here this episode. But so I was so I knew he loved the Lord, but I didn't think the Lord was his focus. You know what I'm saying? And then he went through a rough marriage, 10 years of that, and he was just trying to survive then. But I knew he loved the Lord then too. But I didn't know I never thought of Gabe as somebody that had a desire to do ministry. Like I talked about it when I was young. That always was something that I wanted to do.
You did, yeah.
And so it was weird to me when Gabe started mentioning things every now and then, like maybe wanting to do a sermon one day, or I thought that's weird. That's not you. That's me. That's me. You go do your money thing.
Oh God!
I think this is awesome.
Look, I'm just being real about it.
This
That's
is
what we do on it.
I didn't know any of this, so this
Oh,
is all
yeah.
new to me, right?
Yeah,
now.
it's
It's fascinating
So-
and a little painful.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man.
Well, there's plenty of painful when
Yeah, you're gonna get your turn in a minute.
You're just about to get your shot. So I'm just going Eminem on you and dropping everything. I'm gonna drop everything right here at the start.
It's weird. You thought I said greed while ago,
Rap
but
battle.
okay, go ahead.
I know, right? Agreed.
Fair point, doctor. So anyway, yeah. So he started talking about that kind of stuff, and then I think getting married to a woman that he was on the same. They were had the same frame of mind. They had the same goals and objectives, and especially and most importantly regarding Christ. That really started the Bible study, all that kind of stuff. And so whenever coming back around full circle, when it came, that's why I thought, Miles, I think I can talk him into do, which I had forgotten about.
You're like, he's close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money hungry,
risky.
but other than that,
If we can get the money
he
out
ain't
of
no
his
Jared,
brains.
but
maybe if we pay him,
poor man's Jared. Yeah, maybe if we pay him, slip him a bone.
I'm out of here. I'm hanging up my headphones.
But so he came on, and we did, we would have conversations before work quite a bit on Bible and Christian walk and all this kind of stuff. But it was different though, having Gabe and I come on here and start to have these conversations. You could see it, man, he'd get off the episode and you could tell he had like all kinds of different revelations and was convicted on this. And then he'd be talking about it throughout the week, and talking about how he's been challenged by this and challenged to be better in this area and that area. And so while study may not be one of them, growth is very important to him, and very,
I accept.
yeah,
I am.
yeah, it is
I
who
am.
you are.
Yes.
Maybe that'll change one day. It
Studying
did
is
for
tough
me,
for me.
but growth and the conversations and that, like, he does take him and takes what we talk about here and then goes and thinks about it throughout the week. You know, the Bible says I meditate on your word day and night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I think Gabe takes that, and whenever we have these episodes, he does meditate on them, and his wife can thank me for having a better husband.
Well, I think so. Outside,
You're welcome, Carrie.
Outside looking in, just hearing that, and I don't know what Miles thinks about this. Is you guys are obviously brothers, so you've spent all your lives together, but it sounds like what you maybe didn't have was in your relationship was this focus of y'all spending time talking about the Lord together. And it's like, that's what this podcast has created, because
the church
you had so much fun and your relationship is so deep as brothers, but it's reached another level.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say
Agreed.
Okay. So your turn.
the emphasis on yeah.
Agreed.
Your turn, Gabe.
So with Henry, this is, that was, thank you for that. That was very interesting.
Quite honoring, actually.
And, yeah, I appreciate to have that insight. Like I'm like, that's all new. I did not know that. And for what I've noticed with Henry is over the course of time,
He's adopted a little grace into his life.
Well, that's a goal. I did. Yeah. I need that.
You're right. You've
not
always
wrong.
been graceful with me, but you always say you struggle with that. So
Yes.
that was meant to be a funny,
not
but
wrong.
there's some truth there.
Yes, it's a funny truth. Yes.
Henry over the years, it's so funny you saying all that, because I can't help but
He can't even think because you got in his head.
there's a lot there. There was some, I'm going to go meditate on all of that you said for a while, but with you've the way you've done things historically, I questioned some of your commitment. I used to go, is he gonna commit? Is he is he really gonna go all the way with, whatever? And is he, gonna recognize what other people are going through too? And so many times over the years, I thought, I don't feel like brother understands the things that are happening in my life or to me during my life, and can appreciate the gravity of it. And, or he won't be patient with me as I make a mistake. I make a mistake. He won't maybe be patient with me and let me make that mistake, still love me, and not even mind that I did, even if it was at him, especially if it was at him. And since the start of this, he is almost a different person to me. His devotion and commitment toward things has reached a whole level that I admire it. He is patient. He will, if I say something brash, which I can do, and I can pop off in about a second, because I feel like I should have the right to be able to do that to anybody. And my actions to speak louder than my words, and you should know I still love you.
Now y'all see what I'm dealing with.
Oh yeah.
This is pretty good right here.
I'm an ornery little turd, and I feel like you should know I love you. You should know I don't really hate you. Everybody who I know, you should know that. So I should be able to say something sounding semi-hateful.
If I punch you in the face, you know I love you.
You know I still love you. Take it like a man.
Have some patience, dang it.
Okay.
And so Henry and I are two different approaches, man. We butted heads because of our beliefs of each other.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, yes, you have.
Right here in this room.
Right here in this, the things that Jared has seen Henry and I. Oh,
Right after a great podcast.
Yeah. Immediately falling.
We went bada bing, bada boom in this room.
Yeah, it is funny because people don't know. Like we're gonna do the Lord's work whether we're getting along or not.
That's right.
But we've learned to work through this stuff a lot more from doing this, and it's been awesome.
What it's ultimately done because of the metamorphosis that's happened to you. My confidence in you and your responses to me or anybody. I've watched you do this with other people too. It's just his life is different. And I can now trust that I can say something that would poke him and he will still overlook it. He will, these days, he's overlooks it. He's more patient with me. And I know I push people. I know I do. Ask Carrie. Oh gosh. Sometimes she'll look at me and just go,
Carrie every day.
She needs it.
So Miles doesn't know I'm going to ask him the same question as soon as you're wrapping up. But I do have a question for you, Miles, is you're an hour and a half away. You know, we don't get to see you near as much as we'd love to, but you do have a doctorate degree. You're very, and I say this seriously, like you're a very, very wise, educated man.
Yeah.
But you have to listen to every podcast, edit, and all of that. But does it minister to you?
Sounds so bad when you say
does
that.
The
You have to.
he has
You
to.
have to listen.
But does the podcast? Does the Does the
Miles
podcast?
the one should be getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does the podcast minister to you? Has it developed any areas of your life? Have you grown as a result of being the behind the scenes editor, producer of the podcast?
I'm like,
He's like,
Well,
no.
no.
yeah, no. It has. One thing is, Mo knows that whenever he met me, I was going through a major transition and coming from word of faith, just all that kind of stuff, to where I'm at now, which is Reformed theology, which you brought that up in the first one, that you don't know if that's a thing or not.
Miles is like, I'm here to confirm it's a thing. It's a thing.
So it is, whenever I'm listening to him, it's kind of, and I mean this as a compliment, but like my girls have taught me more about my faith than just about anybody else. And they're off doing their teenage stuff, you know, and it's made me focus in on myself. Do I actually listen to people? Am I actually paying attention to people and seeing where they're coming from and trying to walk with them in their shoes? And so listening to it the way that I listen to it, like a listener, is I don't get to interact with you. So if he says something dumb,
You mean when?
He's pointing at Henry.
He did
He's
point at
pointing at Henry.
He pointed at Mo.
if anybody says something that I don't agree with, then I've got to just stop and shut up and listen. And then I think, well, you know, maybe they're right. maybe there's nothing wrong with thinking that way. It's not the end of the world.
That is the hard thing.
to think
yeah.
that way.
You can't argue with the people on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I do all the time when I'm listening to a podcast, but they don't hear me.
They don't hear you.
Oh, I've called you names before, both of you.
Other than Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has grown me too. I mean, just listening to their growth, because whenever I met Mo, he was probably one of the most hard-headed, and you could probably back me up.
Yes.
Hard-headed, just would not listen to anybody about anything, and would argue with you in a split second, even if he agreed with you.
He confirms my family says I'm a contrarian.
So
yeah.
over the 100 episodes, I've watched you grow as far as that. With you're more patient. As you got a little bit snarky with Gabe a few times in the beginning, but now you actually listen to him, and you've actually said, you know what, I think you may be onto something there.
And that does blow my mind because we all come from where we come from, and he came from where he came from, and he's confident, dude's sure about what he's saying. He's sure.
Well, that's why I tell people all the time. I'm like, I'm not saying it because I don't believe it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't argue if you were wrong, would you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And I know we're running short, but I'll
No, we can go a little over on this one.
I don't want to mess with your time.
Yes. Well, the producer's here, so I'm not worried about making him angry. Yeah.
But I've watched, and Gabe, you've grown incredibly. I mean, what I love about you is you're not afraid to ask questions. A lot of guys will not ask a question if they don't understand. I'm the worst about that. If I don't,
He is good at that.
if I don't get something, then I'm just
That's
going
because I know I don't know. Right.
Well, see, I'll
Yeah,
pretend
but
like I
a
know.
lot of people are afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
And you'll just
I'm
throw
gonna
it out
practice
there.
it. I'm like,
Yeah. But that's good for growth.
you know,
That's good for growth.
we just talked about God being outside of the dimensions. Mm-hmm. What do any of us really know?
But a lot of pride, especially where we live in Texas,
Right.
Yeah.
is you just, I mean, even me, you say something I don't really get, I'm going to go out in the car and look it up. And I'm just going to pretend like I understand what you're talking about. But the dynamic that you two have and listening to over the 100 episodes is it's crazy because you guys had a good dynamic in episode 1. I mean, you did, but it's grown so much from there. And what I love about Jared coming in is it's
I did want to get to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a
Yes.
I've enjoyed keeping the focus off of me. That's
no. The rest of the episode's
we're almost
about
out of town.
No, the rest is about you.
Time is ticking into the future.
But what I liked about you coming back in is you provide this. It's almost like a center point of balance, and so these two may be circling around like this, but you're always like a foundation core that they kind of work around.
Yeah,
and you're really good about bringing things back to the point.
Oh yeah.
he's a pastor.
Get off the rabbit trail.
Yeah.
Off the
And
rabbit.
I love rabbit trails.
Yeah.
I love rabbit trails. Mo can speak to this because you guys need just do it. Run with it.
Oh yeah. Miles does love it. He doesn't like when we talk about.
I don't
get
like
away
it
from
if it gets too serious. Then my eyes glaze over, and
Yeah.
I'm just okay. This is going on forever. Let's wrap it up. So, but a rabbit trail kind of gives you a little bit of entertainment there. You know, that's where the jokes come in. But Jared's got this good ability to. Okay, that's enough. Now let's curve back this way a little bit.
And he's humble about it.
Yes.
You don't feel judged for
Smooth
being shut down.
But at the same time, his little jabs.
Yeah.
My
Jared's the
favorite,
wittiest for sure.
probably my favorite thing I've ever said on the podcast. If you could have seen Hank's, it's probably not the funniest thing, but the best was his face when we were talking about. I think we were talking about picking up where Jesus left off, and people lined up to get healing and be touched by Jesus. And I just out of the blue said, you ever think one of them just wanted his autograph? And Hank's face was just like, did you just really ask? It was the best moment for me because it stumped him. To stump him is like epic. He was
I
stumped.
did. I was like I ran into a brick wall.
Wanted his autograph.
I was so annoyed, and it's funny because Jared and I, we have the kind of friendship that and we're all, it's funny because I call it friendship, but really, these two guys here, Miles and Jared, Gabe's obviously my brother, but that they're both more like brothers. That's the way I see them. And they are my brothers in Christ, but man, they'll hold me accountable and they help me to take a step back and reevaluate things.
I do feel like I have 3 big brothers.
Yeah, sitting here. Yeah,
It is
and
so
it's an
interesting.
awesome bond. But Jared and I's friendship has always been. I mean, we say some pretty crazy stuff to try to see the reaction of the other one.
When it's just the two of us, it's super hyper sarcasm.
Yeah,
like it's almost
Pushes
inappropriate.
lines. Yeah, it's
I watch y'all have me on a group thread sometimes, all different ones over the years, and sometimes I'm watching. I'm like, is he cool? Is like,
oh yeah. That's what a
is
lot of
he-
people around us wonder.
are they
Are
cool?
they in a fight?
And then
And we know what's going
the
on.
next
Like, we're
next
trying to
comment
get that,
comes, and
yeah.
I'm like, no,
Good to go.
they're still cool
Yep.
somehow.
Good to go.
Wow.
There's no
Yeah.
good.
Speaking of that, when Sherry was helping us out a little bit, which I want to give her props.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She did a great job when
So
she was helping us.
appreciative. Yeah.
But I remember the first time she was on one of those threads, and you and me and Mo are going back and forth.
Yeah,
and I
'cause
think
Mo-
Gabe gets
yeah,
on there and
well,
says,
definitely,
"Don't
yeah.
worry, this is normal." 'Cause
Yeah,
she kind of texted something of, "Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
And Gabe's, "This is normal." Just
Well, and we did.
How they do
Miles
it.
and I, when we carpooled together, man, we would have some theological discussions that were pretty heated.
yeah. Well,
But neither one of us were angry. But it was
and both
just
of us at that point, both of us were almost in this transitional area of
from the word of faith.
and we were learning. So it was iron sharpens iron.
It was
we
iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
We would throw something at the other one, and I don't know about that. You have scripture proof?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, this is this and this is this, and we're still, and that it's wonderful, and I want to be able to do that kind of stuff on here, But we'll get to that in a second. But Jared, you and I did this originally, almost exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was
And
brutal.
so, what are your thoughts? Well, I mean, what are your thoughts from then to now? That's
It's this. I felt like
because I asked you at the beginning, and you were like, "You're so busy."
yeah,
And so it was a no. So what changed? Like, what's different from then to now, and what changed? What made you decide? You know what?
So what may be entertaining if you ever? So I initially told you no. I've never shared this. So I initially told you no because I just remembered back then it was a lot of work. Like we spent so much time in preparation, and then we would show up and we would do more preparation. It was just a lot of work. And I was just like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I told you no, but then there was a time that I was like, man, if he ever asked me again to be a part, I'm going to do it, because I started listening, and I was like, okay, I like the way this is going.
Yeah.
So, but I really enjoyed what you and Gabe were doing together. So I was like, I would say yes, only if it wouldn't be a distraction to what was going on in y'all's relationship, because I thought it was really, really special, and I still do what you two are doing. So once we got into doing this and I did some, I was just appearing a little bit here and there, but if I ever sensed that there was a little tension from Gabe to me or anything like that, then I was going to back out. I was like, no, because I don't want to screw that up. Can we probably beep?
Yeah.
That was a little late.
Hey, you're sitting right across from the producer.
Yeah, I said it. He didn't even flinch, but I was like, beep.
I just died on the inside of that.
But that was it. And so when you asked me, but then you bait and switched me too. You're like, hey, could you just appear every once in a while? And then it's like I did 2 shows, and he's like, hey, on one of the episodes, man, Jared's going to be one of our regulars now. And I'm like,
He didn't tell you that?
Well, kind of. He said he was thinking about it, but he made it official, like
That locked
in a
it in.
recording. Yeah, I was like,
Jared will be here.
because I think I was
People
feeling it
talk
for
about
Gabe.
manipulation like it's a bad
He
thing.
did the same thing to you.
Done
didn't
for
he?
good cause.
Yeah, when
Once a month.
We've been bamboozled.
It's
Jared.
called strategy.
yeah,
He bamboozled us.
yeah,
I'm trying to help you out. You could just say thank you. And,
I am. You do have the gift of manipulation.
Jeez. And I'm greedy.
I think Brandy would agree. Yeah.
You're a wrestling fan? You like Shane McMahon, huh? Money, 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 money.
Oh, the song that came before him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Money.
I want to say a couple things too. Are we wrapped up, or are we still?
No, we got a few more minutes.
Well, I'm gonna throw a couple things. One, you, Jared, coming in here. I think it's been flipping great.
Yeah.
Really great, because just the way you do. I was a little worried about it, and because I was going, man, Henry and I are finally on a good. The way we roll is good. For the reasons that we just described and our understanding of each other. Mm-hmm. And I was going, man, but I also was like, Jared loves God. Jared will speak about God directly. And that is what ultimately this is about.
Yeah.
We want to just talk directly about God and our walk with him. And then you actually came and started doing it. And I was going, man, I like it even better. You fit in so well. And balanced us out on a level.
Yeah, it took it to another level. Yeah,
I think so. I hope so. I hope for.
I like it because
the
it's
listener.
fun. I mean, it's fun to do.
And that's what I was hoping for. I wanted to keep it fun. I mean, even we hit a point where we got very serious. And these two had to put up with me griping every week.
It's called growing pains. I mean, it's called. It
Lighten
is,
up,
yeah.
guys.
And that's probably my fault. That's probably my fault.
That is whenever a lot of the overstudy was going into it. I mean, that is about that time.
Yeah.
But that's what I liked about it. And I mean, I listened to it as a listener half the time. So I enjoyed listening to it every week because it lifts you up a little bit. I mean, there's enough serious stuff in the world today. So
There is.
My hope for this was to pick people up a little bit. There is good out there. It's good to just show up and hang out sometimes and talk about God without all the weight of everything else on you.
Yeah. And if you can be able to have those, that's my goal. To that point, that is my goal, to be able to have these conversations about the Lord, disagreements. Miles, you're Calvinist.
I'm not a Calvinist.
And okay, you're reformed. You're reformed.
He's reformed
which
something.
you've told me technically we're all reformed.
I like
but
John
that's a whole
Calvin.
other. We're going to get into this. We're going to have you on here to talk about this.
If you're not Catholic, you are reformed.
right,
Miles, at least this is at the end, and you can edit that.
but I think us being able to have these, because I really want to get to the point, and dive in just a touch on that. My hope is that we can, for this podcast, is for us to get to the point, and sometimes it's a show. It really depends on the episode, but to get to the point that we're able to have great disagreements on here, because every person here has strong opinions and strong ideals,
but under one flag.
That's right, but under one flag. That's a great point. And so to be able to have these discussions and disagree, and kind of, I mean, that's some sharpening. I would love to listen to a podcast where people have, are trying to work through their salvation with much fear and trembling on open air. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that'd be awesome.
And know that the main thing's still the main thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's not with the intent like even talking about things like the movies and what's okay and what's not okay. Like being able to have those discussions and vehemently disagree, and then come to an end and go from there. Jared, do you need a dictionary?
I do.
No. Vehemently?
Vehement.
It's like very passionate, very just like, I'm holding the line.
Gotcha. Go.
See, I'm getting closer to Miles every day.
But you didn't pronounce
every big word that I use gets me one step closer.
But you didn't pronounce it correctly. It doesn't have 3 syllables.
I wasn't going to say that.
Vehemently.
I do like
That was 4 syllables.
I like how he said it, and then all three of you looked at me.
Vehemently. Okay. Maybe I take a step back.
Vehemently. He like a hooked on phonics work for me.
Shut it, Vehement. How do you say that word?
Vehemently. It's like,
No, I like my way better.
I like how you said it though, and all three of you go. You looked at me.
Yeah. Is that right? Is that right? What he just said?
Is that right?
Well,
You making
Jared
stuff
and I
up?
looked at each other because I think we were thinking the same thing as he didn't say that right.
See, yeah, we're good for a laugh, even if it's just saying a word the wrong way. Said the right word the wrong way.
So, order of intelligence: Miles, Jared, Henry, me. Because I don't know what vehement, whatever means. I was like, behemoth? Behemothly? Heathenly?
That was a behemoth-sized wrong way of saying that word, and that's what that was.
When you said it, I got a vision of a helmet and a Trojan dude with a helmet on, and I was like, I know that's not right.
That ain't it.
that's not it.
I'm like, oh.
But I do want to also thank we've had your wife on here, Gabe, Carrie.
Yeah.
We've had Jenny. Jenny's since become a regular part of the show.
Not regular.
I mean, it's almost yeah. I mean, it's almost weird when she's not here because she comes so often.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our youngest sister, Boo or Rebecca, on here, and to talk about homeschool. And we plan to have more guests. We've talked about it. We haven't really gotten around to having quite a bit.
It's funny. We've got
one that we've met with and we're working on
that are good people to get on here and talk about pointed subjects.
But it's been a fun growth to do. And I couldn't imagine not doing this. There's been times that I've thought, oh God, I mean, does anybody even enjoy this show? Sometimes you're your own biggest critic.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, God, I could do this better. I could do that better. This thing stinks. You finish one episode, you think, God, and then
when we're done, I don't think they stink. I always think they're awesome.
That's a horrible way to end it, Mo.
No, I want to say, I want to transition.
I wasn't done. To be fair, Miles is like,
you gave your speech. Now I want to give mine.
All right, go.
I do want to say, to whoever is hearing this, whoever is listening, to the listener, the whole reason that Henry and I prioritize, and now Jared, and that Miles has been going over hours and hours and hours worth of material to make these things is for you, the listener. So whether we've annoyed you sometimes or something like that, or blessed you, I hope that ultimately this is a blessing, and that it does break in your day a little bit of ideas and thoughts toward your walk with God, because we wouldn't come do this if there wasn't the chance that you hear this. So I love getting to do this because you're hearing it.
I love how you're staring at your microphone
I
as
know.
you're talking to him, like
Because I'm
you're
not
really
talking
looking
to
at him.
you, jokers.
He's like-
I'm talking to the listener.
Getting a little cross.
He's like staring at his
Listener.
microphone.
The microphone.
He's even pointing at the microphone.
I know. I was like, but
He was locked in, man. Like,
Let me tell you something, Mike.
this is what I deal with, listeners.
I should have taken a picture.
These guys.
He was. While he was on his rant, I should have.
he's like,
I'm going to punch all three of you with one hit. I'm going to tell y'all to line up, and I'm just going to swing.
so is that a wrap? As I bring it back
That's right.
in.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Anything? So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up. Man, I appreciate getting to do this with you guys, and I would just say, here's to 100 more, then 100 more after that, and 100 more after that. I couldn't imagine not doing this.
Absolutely.
And so, I just look forward to growing together and growing because of the conversations.
Growing further.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be in your service, and I thank you for this band of brothers and the way that you use them to help me to grow. Please help us to be a blessing to every person that hears this show. We love you and we worship you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Go ye into all the world.
And preach the gospel.
Amen.
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 Amen. Man, that's the best you've got.
That's what I got, man.